Henry Treece was a British poet and prolific writer who also worked as a teacher and editor. He wrote a range of works but is mostly remembered as a writer of children's historical novels. Life and work. Treece was born in Wednesbury, Staffordshire. After graduating from the University of Birmingham in 1933, he went into teaching, with his first placement being at Tynemouth School. In 1939 he married Mary Woodman and settled in Lincolnshire as a teacher at Batton-upon-Humber Grammar School. The son, Richard Treece, became a musician with Help Yourself and other rock bands. He published 5 volumes of poetry, 38 poems, then by Faber and Amp, Faber, Invitation and Warning 1942, The Black Seasons 1945, The Haunted Garden 1947, and The Exiles 1952. He appeared in the 1949 The New British Poets, an anthology edited by Kenneth Rexroth, but from 1952 with The Dark Island he devoted himself to fiction. His best known are his juvenile historical novels, particularly those set in the Viking Age, although he also wrote some adult historical novels. Many of his novels are set in transitional periods in history, where more primitive societies are forced to face modernization, e.g., the end of the Viking period, or the Roman conquest of Britain. His play Carnival King was produced at Nottingham Playhouse in 1953. He also worked as a radio broadcaster. In World War II he served as an intelligence officer in the RAF and helped John Pudney edit Air Force poetry. Other poetry anthologies he was involved with include The New Apocalypse with J. F. Hendry, giving its name to a movement. 2 further anthologies with Hendry followed. He wrote a critical study of Dylan Thomas, called Dylan Thomas, Dog Among the Fairies, published by Lindsay Drummond, London. In 1949, he and Thomas became estranged over Thomas's refusal to sign up as a new apocalyptic. He also wrote Conquerors in 1932, as a way to reflect on the horrors of war. He edited issues of the magazines Transformation and A New Romantic Anthology with Stefan Szymanski, issues of Kingdom Come, the magazine of Wartime Oxford with Szymanski and Alan Rook, as well as Wartime Harvest. How I See Apocalypse was a retrospective statement. Works: 38 poems. The White Horseman, prose and verse of the New Apocalypse, edited by J.F. Hendry and Henry Treece. Invitation and Warning poetry. Transformation, edited by Stefan Szymanski and Henry Treece. Wartime Harvest, an anthology of prose and verse, edited by Stefan Szymanski and Henry Treece. Short Piece in Writing Today, edited by Dennis Val Baker and Peter Rattazzi. Air Force Poetry, edited by John Pudney and Henry Treece. Herbert Reed, an introduction to his work by various hands, edited by Henry Treece. A Map of Hearts, edited by Stefan Szymanski and Henry Treece. Transformation 2, edited by Stefan Szymanski and Henry Treece. The Black Seasons poetry. The Crown and the Sickle, an anthology edited by J. F. Hendry and Henry Treece. Transformation 3, edited by Stefan Szymanski and Henry Treece. How I See Apocalypse, I Cannot Go Hunting Tomorrow, short stories. Transformation 4, edited by Stefan Szymanski and Henry Treece. The Haunted Garden poetry. Leaves in the Storm, a book of diaries, edited with a running commentary by Stefan Szymanski and Henry Treece. Selected poems of Algernon Charles Swinburne, edited with an introduction by Henry Treece. Dylan Thomas, Dog Among the Fairies Criticism, a new romantic anthology, edited by Stefan Szymanski and Henry Treece. The Exiles poetry. The Dark Island novel. The Rebels novel. Desperate Journey for Children. Legions of the Eagle historical novel for young people, set in the Roman conquest of Britain. The Eagles have flown historical novel for young people. Ask for King Billy for children. Carnival King, a play in 3 acts verse play. Vikings Dawn, historical novel for young people, first in the Viking trilogy. Hounds of the King, historical novel for young people. The Golden Strangers, The Great Captain's novel. Hunter hunted for children. Men of the Hills, historical novel for young people. The Road to Miklagard, historical novel for young people, second in the Viking trilogy. The Children's Crusade, historical novel for young people. Don't Expect Any Mercy for children. The Return of Robinson Crusoe, historical novel for young people. Red Queen, White Queen novel. Ride into Danger novel. The Bombard, historical novel for young people. Castles and Kings, the true books about castles. Wickham and the Armada, historical novel for young people. A Fighting Man novel. Vikings Sunset, historical novel for young people, third in the Viking trilogy. Red Settlement, historical novel for young people. The Golden One, historical novel for young people. The Jetbeats novel. Jason novel. A Crusades Man with a Sword, historical novel for young people, about Hereward the Wake. War Dog, historical novel for young people. Fighting Men, How Men Have Fought Through the Ages. Horned Helmet, historical novel for young people, about the Joms Vikings. Electra novel. The Crusades History. The Burning of Njal, historical novel for young people. The Last of the Vikings, historical novel for young people, about Harald Hardrada. Oedipus novel. The Bronze Sword, historical novel for young people. Splintered Sword, historical novel for young people. Killer in Dark Glasses novel. 2 radio plays. Bang You're Dead novel. The Queen's Brooch, historical novel for young people, set during Boudicca's rebellion. The Green Man, Swords from the North, historical novel for young people. The Wind-Swept City, historical novel for young people, set in the Trojan War. Vinland the Good, historical novel for young people. The Dreamtime, historical novel for young people. The Centurion, an augmented version of the Bronze Sword. Adult historical fiction. Celtic Tetralogy 1. The Golden Strangers, titled The Invaders in the U.S., about the arrival of the Celts in Britain. 2. The Dark Island, titled The Savage Warriors in the U.S., about the defeat of Caraticus by the Romans after their invasion of Britain. 3. Red Queen, White Queen, titled The Pagan Queen in the U.S., about Boudicca and the rebellion she led against Rome, as told by a young Roman imperial agent. 4. The Great Captains, a realistic story of King Arthur and the struggle of Celtic Britain to survive after the departure of the Romans. The Rebels, set during the last decade of Victoria's reign, it follows the fluctuating fortunes of the Fisher family, ironmasters who live in the Black Country town of Darlaston. Their ancestors were strong, tough and unpretentious, but now the family aspires to comfortable Victorian gentility. Trilogy set in Mycenae and Greece, based on legendary characters. Jason. Electra, U.S. titled The Amber Princess. Oedipus, U.S. titled The Eagle King. The Green Man, a reworking of Amleth's Vengeance from the Gesta Danorum of Saxo Grammaticus, set in 6th century Jutland, Duke Arthur's Britain and Caledonia. Contains fantasy elements. Journal. New Apocalyptics, a periodical.